How could you do this? I
Get
can't
this
believe
filth
you.
off my
Please,
floor.
I didn't
don't
mean
care if
to.
he's dying,
It's too late
I
for that
want him out
now.
Immediately. The shrill scream of head nurse Brenda Miller shattered the uneasy silence of the Memorial Hospital emergency room waiting area at 2:14 a.m. Her voice didn't just carry, it cut through the sterile air like a serrated knife, causing the sleepy patients in the plastic chairs to jolt awake and the security guards to stiffen. She stood behind the high reception counter, her face contorted in a mask of sheer disgust, pointing a manicured finger at the entrance, where a hunched, trembling figure had just collapsed against the sliding glass doors. "Security! Why is he still here?" Brenda shrieked again, slamming a clipboard onto the desk with enough force to crack the plastic casing. "I told you 10 minutes ago to clear the entrance. This is a hospital, not a shelter for vagrants to overdose in." The man she was screaming at didn't look like he could fight a gust of wind, let alone a security guard. He was old, ancient, really, with a beard that was a tangled mess of gray and white, matted with grime. His coat was an oversized, stained military surplus jacket that had lost its color decades ago, covered in patches of mud and oil. Beneath the layers of rags, his breathing was shallow and rattling, a wet, heavy sound that suggested his lungs were filling with fluid. He clutched a dirty canvas duffel bag to his chest as if it contained the crown jewels, his knuckles white against the dark, weathered skin of his hands. "Ma'am, he says he's having chest pains," one of the younger security guards, a rookie named Kevin, said hesitantly. He was standing over the old man, looking torn between his orders and his conscience. "He's asking for help. He says he's a veteran." Brenda let out a short, cruel laugh that echoed off the linoleum floors. "A veteran? Please. They all say that when they want a free bed and a hit of morphine. Look at him, Kevin. He smells like a distillery and a dumpster had a baby. If I let him in, I'll have to sterilize the entire triage unit. Kick him out." The old man, whose name was Arthur but hadn't been called that in a long time, looked up. His eyes were surprising, piercingly blue amidst the map of wrinkles and dirt on his face. They weren't the glassy eyes of an addict. They were sharp, alert, and filled with a profound, weary sadness. He tried to speak, but a coughing fit seized him, bending him double. When he finally caught his breath, he reached into the deep pocket of his jacket with a shaking hand. I have insurance," Arthur wheezed, his voice sounding like gravel grinding together. "Check the file." He pulled out a crumpled, yellowed piece of paper and a plastic card that was so worn the magnetic strip was peeling off. He held it out toward the counter, his hand trembling violently. Brenda wrinkled her nose, making a show of recoiling as if he were offering her a handful of radioactive waste. "I am not touching that," she sneered, crossing her arms over her pristine blue scrubs. "And I am certainly not wasting my time typing in fake numbers from a card you probably stole from a wallet you found in the trash. You have 2 minutes to leave, or I'm calling the police to have you arrested for trespassing." "Please," Arthur whispered, the desperation seeping into his tone. "Just look at the number. Code. Pale Horse." "Pale Horse? Is that the name of the cheap whiskey you've been drinking?" Brenda mocked, playing to the audience of the waiting room. A few people chuckled nervously, glad the wrath of the head nurse wasn't directed at them. "Listen to me, old man. We have real patients here, people who pay taxes, people who matter. You are clogging up the system." The cruelty was palpable. It wasn't just a rejection, it was a public evisceration. Brenda Miller had been running the night shift for 15 years, and over time, her compassion had calloused over, replaced by a rigid adherence to efficiency and a deep disdain for the indigent population that frequently sought refuge in the ER. To her, Arthur wasn't a human being in pain. He was an obstacle, a stain on her clean floor, a metric that would ruin her wait time statistics. "Let me see it," a soft voice interrupted. Brenda spun around. It was Sarah, a student nurse doing her clinical rotation. She looked terrified to be speaking up, but her eyes were fixed on the old man gasping for air by the door. "Brenda, he's cyanotic. Look at his lips. They're turning blue. We have to triage him." "We don't have to do anything, Sarah," Brenda hissed, leaning in close to the student. "You want to touch him? You want to bring bed bugs into Trauma 1? Be my guest. But when he doesn't have a valid ID and the billing department comes down on us, it's going to be your name on the incident report." Sarah swallowed hard, but stepped out from behind the safety of the counter. She walked over to Arthur, ignoring Brenda's glare. She knelt beside him, the knees of her scrubs touching the dirty floor. "Sir, can you hear me? I'm Sarah. I'm going to take your card, okay?" Arthur nodded weakly, placing the card into her hand. "Thank you. The system, it might lag." Sarah stood up and walked back to the computer, her hands shaking slightly. Brenda watched her with a look of pure venom. "You are wasting resources, Sarah. Sting. I'm writing you up for insubordination." "Just let me check," Sarah pleaded, sitting at the terminal. She wiped the grime off the card and squinted at the faded numbers. It didn't look like a standard insurance card. It didn't have a logo for Blue Cross or Aetna. It was completely gray, with no name, just a string of alphanumeric characters and a barcode that looked unusual. "See? It's garbage," Brenda scoffed, hovering over Sarah's shoulder. "Throw it away." "I'm just going to try the universal lookup," Sarah said, her fingers flying across the keyboard. She entered the long string of numbers, X99 Alpha Zulu 01. She hit Enter. For a moment, nothing happened. The cursor blinked rhythmically on the screen. "Told you," Brenda smirked, reaching for the phone to dial the police. "Invalid format. Now Kevin, get him." Suddenly the computer emitted a sound that no one in the hospital had ever heard before. It wasn't the standard beep of an error message. It was a low, resonant thrum, like a bass speaker powering up. The screen flickered. The standard white and blue interface of the hospital administration software vanished. In its place, the monitor went completely black for a split second, before being flooded by an aggressive, pulsing crimson red. Accessing secure server. Redirecting to Department of Defense Node 4. Brenda froze, her hand hovering over the telephone receiver. "What did you do?" she demanded, panic edging into her voice. "You broke the system. You downloaded a virus." "I didn't do anything," Sarah cried, backing away from the keyboard as if it were hot. "I just typed the number." Text began to scroll across the screen at a speed that was impossible to read, a cascade of encrypted data decoding in real time. Then, the scrolling stopped abruptly, and a single window popped up in the center of the red screen. The text was bold, capitalized, and flashing. Subject: Classified status: Active, retired clearance. Level 5, Cosmic. Yankee White identity confirmed. Vance, Arthur J. Code. Name: Pale Horse Warning. Unauthorized viewing of this file is a federal offense punishable by Treason Act. Immediate action required. Contact Director. The entire nursing station fell dead silent. The ambient noise of the waiting room, the coughing, the murmuring, the TV in the corner, seemed to fade away, swallowed by the ominous red glow emanating from the monitor. "Level 5? Brenda whispered, her face draining of all color. Her arrogance evaporated instantly, replaced by a cold, gnawing fear. That's not possible. That's higher than the president's detail. That's ghost protocol stuff." She looked from the screen to the old man slumped by the door. Arthur hadn't moved. He was still clutching his chest, his eyes closed, breathing painfully. The contrast was impossible for her brain to reconcile. The man looked like he slept under bridges, yet the computer was treating him like he held the nuclear launch codes. Suddenly, the phone on the wall, the red emergency line that was only supposed to be used for mass casualty events or direct lines to the CDC, began to ring. It was a loud, jarring mechanical ring that made everyone jump. Brenda stared at it. She didn't want to answer it. She wanted to run out the back door and never come back. "Answer it, Brenda," Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. Brenda reached out with a shaking hand and lifted the receiver. She didn't even have a chance to say, "Memorial Hospital." "This is Colonel Holloway, Pentagon Special Operations Command," a voice barked on the other end. The voice was cold, precise, and terrified her to her core. "We have a ping on a Level 5 asset at your terminal. Terminal ID 44 Bravo. Who is accessing the file of Agent Vance?" I... Brenda stuttered, her throat dry. "We have a patient. He claimed you have Pale Horse on site." The colonel's voice dropped an octave, becoming deadly serious. Listen to me very carefully. You are to lock down that facility immediately. You are to provide that man with whatever medical attention he requires. If he dies, madam, I will personally see to it that you spend the rest of your life in a black site in Nevada. Do you understand me? Yes. Yes, sir, Brenda squeaked. Is he conscious? Barely. Keep him alive. We are 6 minutes out. Keep him alive, or God help you. The line went dead. Brenda slowly lowered the phone. She looked at Kevin, the security guard. Get a gurney, she whispered, her voice unrecognizable. Now, get a gurney, get Dr. Sterling, get everyone. What's going on? Kevin asked, confused by the sudden 180-degree turn. Just do it, Brenda screamed, hysteria taking over. That man isn't a bum. He's something else. As the staff scrambled, rushing Arthur onto a stretcher and wheeling him toward the trauma bay, the atmosphere in the hospital shifted from mundane routine to high-stakes crisis. The other patients watched in awe as the man who had just been treated like garbage was now being swarmed by the best doctors in the building. If you're enjoying this story of forgotten heroes and hidden identities, leave a like and subscribe to support this small channel. Your support helps us keep these stories of valor alive and ensures the world remembers the sacrifices made in the shadows. Dr. Sterling, the hospital director, came running down the hallway in his pajamas, having been paged with a code black. He burst into the trauma room where they were stabilizing Arthur. Brenda was there, trying to start an IV line, her hands shaking so badly she missed the vein twice. What is happening? Sterling demanded, looking at the red screen that was still flashing on the mobile terminal in the room. Why is the Department of Defense calling my personal cell phone at 2:30 in the morning? He has level 5 clearance, sir, Brenda stammered, pointing at the frail old man on the bed. They had cut off his dirty jacket, revealing a torso that was a tapestry of scars. There were bullet wounds, knife scars, burns, a roadmap of violence etched into his skin. And on his left shoulder, a faded tattoo, a grim reaper riding a pale horse. Level 5? Sterling adjusted his glasses, looking at the monitor. My God. Do you know what this means? This man isn't just a veteran. He's a shadow operator. These files, they don't exist. This man officially died in 1998. Arthur's eyes fluttered open. The oxygen mask was helping. He looked at Brenda, who was now terrified of him. Told. You, he rasped. Check the file. I'm so sorry, sir, Brenda said, her voice trembling. I didn't know. We're taking care of you. Save it, Arthur grunted, closing his eyes again. The sound of helicopter blades began to thump against the building, vibrating the windows. It started as a distant hum and quickly grew into a deafening roar. Floodlights swept across the emergency room windows, blindingly bright. They're here, Dr. Sterling said, looking out the window. They landed a Black Hawk in the parking lot. The automatic doors of the ER didn't just slide open. They were practically thrown off their tracks as a squad of 6 men in full tactical gear stormed in. They weren't police. They weren't standard military. They wore no insignias, just black uniforms, night vision goggles flipped up, and carrying carbines that looked like they were from the future. Leading them was a man in a dress uniform, a 4-star general. He moved with a purpose that made the air in the room feel heavy. He marched straight past the security desk, ignoring the stunned receptionist, and headed directly for the trauma room as if he had a GPS tracker on Arthur. Brenda backed against the wall, trying to make herself invisible. The tactical team secured the perimeter of the room, their weapons at the low ready, scanning the doctors and nurses as if they were potential threats. The general stopped at the foot of Arthur's bed. He looked at the old man, the man Brenda had called filth, with an expression of profound reverence and pain. Status? The general barked at Dr. Sterling. Stable, General, Sterling replied quickly. Acute congestive heart failure exacerbated by pneumonia and malnutrition. We've started diuretics and antibiotics. He'll live. The general let out a breath he seemed to have been holding for hours. He walked to the side of the bed and took Arthur's calloused, dirty hand in his own. Arthur, the general said softly, you stubborn son of a gun. You went dark. We've been looking for you for 3 years. Arthur opened his eyes and managed a weak, crooked smile. Didn't want to be found, Jack. Well, you don't get a choice anymore, the general said, his voice thick with emotion. The country still needs you. I still need you. The general then turned slowly, his demeanor shifting from brotherly affection to icy command. He scanned the room until his eyes locked on Brenda Miller. She felt like a deer in the headlights of a semi-truck. "Who is the intake nurse?" the general asked quietly. Dr. Sterling hesitated, then looked at Brenda. I am, sir," Brenda whispered. The general stepped closer to her. He towered over her, his metals clinking softly. "I listened to the recording of the security feed on my way here," he said. His voice was calm, which made it all the more terrifying. "You tried to throw this man out. You called him filth. You mocked his service. I was following protocol," Brenda defended weakly, tears welling up. "He looked like a vagrant. We have rules." "Rules?" The general cut her off. "Do you know who this man is? No, of course you don't. Because while you were learning your rules in nursing school, Arthur Vance was crawling through mud in jungles you've never heard of, dismantling regimes that wanted to burn this country to the ground. He has saved more lives with a sniper rifle and a combat knife than this entire hospital has saved in 50 years. The room was deadly silent. He carries fragments of a Soviet grenade in his spine, the general continued, his voice rising slightly. He endured 6 months of torture in a black site so that the location of an American embassy wouldn't be compromised. He gave up his family, his name, and his life for his country. And when he comes to you, asking for help in the nation he broke his body to protect, you tell him he smells? Brenda was sobbing now. "I didn't know. I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix honor, nurse," the general said coldly. "You judged a book by its cover, and you almost threw a national treasure into the gutter." He turned back to Dr. Sterling. "I want him moved. Walter Reed is preparing a suite. My team will transport him as soon as he is stable enough to move. And Director?" "Yes, General. I suggest you reevaluate your staff. If I ever hear of a veteran, any veteran, regardless of how they look or smell, being treated like this in your facility again, I will have this place shut down and turned into a parking lot before the paperwork hits your desk. Do I make myself clear?" "Crystal clear, General." Sterling nodded, looking pale. The general turned back to Arthur, squeezing his hand again. "Let's get you home, pale horse. Mission's over. You can rest now." Arthur nodded, a single tear cutting a clean track through the dirt on his cheek. "Roger that. Command." As the soldiers prepared to move Arthur, the atmosphere in the hospital had changed irrevocably. The patients in the waiting room stood up as the gurney was wheeled out, flanked by the elite soldiers. It was a spontaneous show of respect. Men took off their hats. No one spoke. Brenda stood alone in the trauma room, the red screen of the computer still casting a bloody glow on her face. She looked at the empty bed, then at her own hands. The lesson was brutal and permanent. She had looked at a hero and seen a bum, simply because he wasn't wearing a shiny uniform. The general paused at the door, looking back one last time at the hospital staff. "Gentlemen, ladies, freedom isn't free. It's paid for by men like him. Don't you ever forget it." With that, they vanished into the night, the sound of the helicopter spinning up again to whisk the ghost of Hanoi away to the dignity he deserved, leaving the hospital staff to sit in the silence of their own shame. If this story of quiet valor moved you, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Stories of Valor for more stories of the unassuming heroes who walk among us. What do you think happened to Brenda after that night? Did she deserve to be fired, or was it just a mistake? Let me know in the comments below. And if you watched until the end, comment "Pale Horse" so I can heart your comment.